Okay, let me add myself to the stream. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World. We're bringing you Fantasy Football Weekly, coming to you a little bit earlier than usual on a Wednesday, but my schedule's a little bit all over the place this week, so we got to run the show a little bit earlier. Just waiting for CEO of Prime Sports World, Mr. Israel Rivera, to join me here on the show. I'm, of course, your host, David On Point. Thank you very much for joining us. And if you're looking for consistent content on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, we go live basically every single day, bringing the most up-to-date content. So please like, share, and subscribe. I've also shared the StreamYard link. If you want to join us to talk a little fantasy football, StreamYard link has been added, on the Prime Sports World Facebook page, Prime Sports World YouTube page. And also, please feel free to send your questions, trade questions, drop or add or drop questions. We'll be more than happy to answer those questions on the show. And while we wait for Mr. Israel Rivera to join us here on the show, let's jump into 5 players that I would add. A couple players you can probably drop when it comes to this week in fantasy football. I know waivers have already gone past, but these are guys, if they're still available, I would probably grab these guys in your fantasy football league if you can. Number 1, Chuba Hubbard for the Carolina Panthers. I know he got a little bit of a bang-up injury there, but he's still worth a speculative add. Gus Edwards for the Baltimore Ravens should have probably been the number 1 waiver claim in the National Football League this week. He clears to be the guy as long as J.K. Dobbins is going to be out. Paris Campbell, wide receiver for the Indianapolis Colts. His playing time is really increased. He had touchdowns in the last 2 games. I don't know what his rapport is going to be like with Sam Ellinger, but I would for sure to roll the dice when it comes to Paris Campbell. Daniel Jones, you're looking for a stopgap quarterback. If you happen to be a Patrick Mahomes owner, if you happen to be a Justin Herbert owner, you need somebody to be that fantasy quarterback for you for this week. Daniel Jones is a pretty good idea. His floor, it keeps his ceiling pretty fair. His rushing totals to give him the rest of the numbers you need. Someone else you can for sure add is Deontay Foreman, also of the Carolina Panthers. He's only rostered in 34% of leagues. Chuba Hubbard did get injured a little bit in this game, so look to see if they have Devontae Foreman. He was good when he finally was able to play in that game. That's always somebody I would definitely be looking at. Wan'Dale Robinson, somebody I mentioned last week. Marquise Goodwin has 2 touchdowns last week. He has a rapport there with Geno Smith, and now the DK Metcalf is having a slightly knee injury. I think that's a guy for sure to add. And then Mike Gesicki and Juwan Johnson, who had 2 touchdowns there on Thursday Night Football. I wouldn't be expecting a 2-touchdown game from him all the time, but he's definitely somebody I would look to speculatively add as the tight end position. Maybe he can give you some value. And some players I think you can successfully drop in most fantasy football leagues if you need to add any of the players that I just added to that list. First, A.J. Dillon of the Green Bay Packers. Israel Rivera will talk about this himself, but his usage rate has just been woefully low. He sits at running back 36 on the season right now. He's just not getting it done in PPR. He's just not getting the carries. He's not getting the touches. And this Packer offense also hasn't been remotely good. So I think you successfully can drop an A.J. Dillon for somebody like a Gus Edwards. I think he's a more explosive offense. Robert Woods, who's 62% rostered for the Tennessee Titans. I just think that their passing attack is just going to be all over the place this season, and I just don't think that any of those wide receivers in Tennessee have any real value. Drake London, he hasn't been predominantly good for them so far for the Atlanta Falcons. I think that's somebody you could probably drop to Drake London if you're still holding out hope. Kenny Drake was the guy last week. He had most touches out of the team, but he only had 11 touches in the game against the Cleveland Browns here last weekend. On those 11 touches, he averaged 5 measly yards, where Gus Edwards came back and had 16 carries, 60 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So I think Drake is probably going to be – I wouldn't hold on to Drake if I was you. J.D. McKissick for the Commanders. That 2-headed monster of Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson is going to be the way that things flake out. I wouldn't probably mess around with J.D. McKissick either. Michael Gallup, wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys, and Romeo Doubs, wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers. Another guy I would probably think about dropping as well. He had 4 targets in this game. He did not catch up with a single one of them. He's rostered on he played 79% of their offensive snaps, so maybe there's potential for room for improvement, but we'll see what ends up happening. And then Michael Gallup. Dak Prescott only attempted 25 passes in that game. Only 2 of them went to Michael Gallup. So they didn't really get to play in the preseason because Michael Gallup goes on the IR. So we'll see what happens when they finally get a chance to play with each other again. but I would be comfortable dropping either one of those guys if you need to get somebody different. Also, Jeff Wilson is probably droppable as well because of the presence of Chris McCaffrey. And if you've held on to Elijah Mitchell in your IR or something like that, I would also think about dropping him as well. So there's some options there when it comes to the waiver wire, when it comes to fantasy football, players you can probably add, probably players you can drop. Those are just some names. But yeah, welcome into the show. CEO of Prime Sports World is Israel Veras in the house. How's it going, man? What's up?
Going good, guys.
Man, looking snazzy as hell as always, man. You always doing it up, man. Making me look bad. Looking dapper as hell.
Yeah, man. I listened to you say talk about Kenyon Drake. And Drake. Gus Edwards. Yes, I agree with David. You guys should listen to him. Gus Edwards is the running back there. Even though Kenyon Drake might get some reps in the passing game, it's totally Gus Edwards' backfield right now to lose. So
yeah, as long as J.K. Dobbins remains out, which seems he's gonna be out the next 4 to 6 weeks. So
J.K. Yeah, so it's gonna be and you know what? And Kenyon Drake, I'll tell you this: if you want to swing for the fences on like FanDuel, or DraftKings,
I'm not so sure it's worth it.
I know, but if you're making a whole bunch of lineups with like $1, right? And you're like, okay, I'm gonna swing. Like Kenyon Drake could have some boom potential because he had 3 touchdowns 2 weeks ago.
It's true. The touches are still there, so he could potentially be somebody who's valuable. I mean, he had 11 touches in that game, so he didn't play well at all with those 11 touches. But I think that's more about
last
game
week.
flow.
Yeah, he did not play well at all.
No, for sure
he
not.
Did not.
So how did week number 7 go for you for fantasy? I believe
4-0, baby.
And I do believe me and you are actually playing each other in fantasy basketball this week.
I don't care. I'm not even worried about fantasy, but I'm
just letting you know. We're playing each other.
David, I did set my lineup. So you know what? Who's gonna make that? You know who I'm gonna make proud with that?
Graybo.
Yes.
I usually forget like every other day. It's just so much maintenance.
So Graybo, if you're watching this, I did set my lineup on Monday. Even though I said, dude, this is tedious. I can't stand ESPN
I said the same thing. They basically made me play. So
they made me play. They actually had the draft while we were doing this show.
I know. I was doing a show while I was drafting my team.
I went totally auto draft, so I don't care. I'm totally all in on football. I have I have all my leagues are money leagues. All
my leagues are money too.
So I am not even after football is done, maybe I'll pay attention to basketball.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. I actually did a pretty good week. I have a dumpster fire of a team that didn't win, but all my other teams I won last week. So yeah, I was 5-1 last week in fantasy. So yeah, I'll take it. I'm pretty happy with that. I straight up have a dumpster fire of a team where I have like Russell Wilson on there and Justin Fields. It is just a mess.
I was 4-0. I was 4-0, guys, last week, and I told AJ in one of our leagues I started 0-6. I said that's one. As soon as DeAndre Hopkins came back, it's a whole different team for me. I got a second big time wide receiver now. So I'm like, look, if I go on a 7-game win, what the thing that's saving me in that league is that I play in a bad division. So I think the leader's 4-3 or something like that.
Yeah, I'm in that same division. So
yeah, so we got a shot to make the playoffs, or to at least win that division. But I have another league in which I'm prime. I'm primed. I hate trades because they're just so uneven, but I'm primed to win the championship this year. I know it. I could feel it. I was close last year, and I got one of my buddies. He's actually a fighter on Bellator. He just keeps hounding me with trades, and I don't even know his team isn't nowhere near as good as it should be. So I'm pretty sure he's like, yo, I'll trade you Kareem Hunt for Travis Etienne, or I'll trade you Zach Ertz for Travis
I've been getting a million. I only have Travis Etienne in a million leagues. I've been getting so many trade requests for him ever since Shane Robinson got traded. I'm like, I'm not trading him. The guy's gonna have crazy value. But yeah, let's get into our rankings. We'll talk about week number 8. Yeah, let's talk about the quarterbacks. First, my rankings. Number 1, I'm disappointed in you, my friend. You don't have Mr. Virtuoso at number 1. Number 1, Jalen Hurts. 2, Joe Burrow. 3, Kyler Murray. 4, Josh Allen. I know I have Josh Allen low, but I believe in that Packers defense still. They have been rather stingy But it could get ugly, so I still got him in my top 4. Joe Burrow has just been on a train wreck since over the last couple weeks. He was the number 1 scorer in fantasy this week too. So yeah, Joe Burrow. 5, Lamar Jackson. 6, Kirk Cousins. 7, Daniel Jones. 8, Tua Tagovailoa. 9, Dak Prescott. 10, Geno Smith. And then my outside looking in, I got Derek Carr, Jared Goff, who I'm going to roll with one more week after I got burnt by him bad in a fantasy league where I started him. I only had 4 points out of it. And then 3, Ryan Tannehill. I know that's a pass-happy offense, but I do think Ryan Tannehill has some value going up against a not good Houston Texans team. And then my sneaky and daily is also Ryan Tannehill at 5,300. I just think that that's a pretty good value, and he could have some value there. The passing game could get going against a really bad secondary there in Houston.
Yeah, no, I like it, especially the Ryan Tannehill call for DraftKings. He's cheap. He was cheap in FanDuel as well, so he's another guy that should be on your radar because I think he'll, if Derrick Henry continues to pick up the pace, and especially Derrick Henry loves to play Houston. He has like 200-yard games against them, so that should follow into the passing game this week with Ryan Tannehill, and especially. I thought they were at home, but they're on the road. It doesn't even matter.
It don't matter.
It doesn't matter. Anyways, number 1, Josh Allen. And I know it's going to come at the expense of my Green Bay Packers, but that's okay because I don't have any faith right now in my Green Bay Packers to stop Josh Allen. This may be over at halftime. Yeah. Games are over when it's like 3 touchdowns. Well, I don't know, whatever. Anyways, Josh Allen's number 1. I think he's going to have a great game against Green Bay. And then at number 2, I got some love for my boy, Jalen Hurts. He's going to have a fantastic game this week against Pittsburgh. That woeful defense are pretty banged up. Half the defense banged up. And number 3, got Tua Tagovailoa. He's a guy going against probably the worst defense. I think, Detroit has to be in the bottom 3 this year. Tua looks good. I picked up Tua last week on a waiver wire because Jalen Hurts was out, and I kept him. I'm keeping him because I've been getting trade requests for Tua Tagovailoa, and it's like people forgot about him.
I picked up Tua too in a league, and I started him when I think that same situation. I either had Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts out, and I started Tua, and he was pretty serviceable there.
Yeah, he was definitely serviceable. Sorry about that, guys. And then at number 3, I got number 4, I got Kyler Murray. Number 5, Kirk Cousins. Number 6, got Joe Burrow. Number 7, I got Dak Prescott. And number 8 tonight, baby, running value tonight. I'm not sure about the passing game, but we'll see.
Tomorrow night.
Is it tomorrow night? Oh,
yeah,
God.
It's only Wednesday, man.
Oh, God, Lee. Oh, my God. The week is going by fast.
Or slow, I guess.
Yeah, slow, whatever. I'm ready for Thursday. God, Lee, tomorrow night. I think Lamar Jackson has some potential, in that game running the football. And then at number 9, I got Geno Smith. And then round out my top 10, I got Tom Brady in that same very game against the Baltimore Ravens secondary that hasn't particularly played well. And then I'm outside looking, and I got Daniel Jones, Marcus Mariota, and Derek Carr. The first 2, Daniel Jones and Marcus Mariota, have just great. They have really good, rushing, matchups and rushing value as well. So yeah, I predict both of those guys to get a touchdown. Daniel Jones had over 100 yards rushing last week. He's going against the Seattle team that gives up, some yards to quarterbacks. And then Marcus Mariota, I believe, is going against Carolina. So, they're going to be inconsistent as all hell. And then my sneaky and FanDuel, I'm going to roll with them again. Taylor, give me a 6-pack of Heineken's Heineke, baby. Let's go for 6,400. He's got a good matchup against an Indianapolis team that's going to roll out Sam Ehlinger. We don't know how much that defense is going to be on the field. They might be tired. The offense isn't probably going to sustain a lot of drives, and I expect Taylor Heineke to keep it up. I know he started off the game against Green Bay horrible, but that's Green Bay. They have a solid defense when they have a good defense when their team is sustaining drives. But I don't expect Indy to do anything against Taylor Heineke. I expect them to have another good game.
I expect Indy to. I think Indy's throwing the white cloud. I think they're done. Like I think they're not trying to win any more football games. I think they're satisfied with what happened this season. I think Taylor Heineke has some really nice value there at after, especially 6,400 is pretty cheap. From the pass throwers to the running backs. Go ahead, my friend.
All right. At number 1, I got Saquon Barkley, because why not? Saquon Barkley's been just going crazy. At number 2, Josh Jacobs. I know Nick Chubb would normally probably be there, but Josh Jacobs the last 3 weeks has been a man amongst boys in the NFL, which is a man of man sports. Josh Jacobs has been killing it lately. And then at number 3, I got Derrick Henry. Honestly, I should have him number 1 with you because he loves to play the Houston Texans. He's going to probably have 200 yards and 2 touchdowns and just obliterate and just destroy that defense this week. And then number 4, I got Nick Chubb. Number 5, my offensive rookie of the year. They was going head to head with Breece Hall, but not anymore. It's a one-man race. Kenneth Walker for the Seattle Seahawks. He's going to have another big game going up against Washington. If I'm not, is it Washington? I'm not mistaken. He's going up against New York. Going up in New York. Sorry about that. And then number 6, I got Alvin Kamara. Number 7, Dalvin Cook. And then number 8, Leonard Fournette, another guy in that Baltimore Ravens guy. I think that's going to be kind of a high-scoring game in a way. I think they'll score upwards in the 20, 25, 28 range. I think Leonard Fournette will get a touchdown or so, definitely in the passing game. And then number 9, Joe Mixon. And then right on my top 10, Christian McCaffrey. We actually got him at the same spot. I think as the weeks progress, I think he's going to be more involved in that offense. And then on my outside looking in, I got Raheem Mostert, Jonathan Taylor, and Miles Sanders. And really, I really didn't even want to put Jonathan Taylor there. I just given him the benefit of the doubt. He may just be, after this week, he may just be all out my rankings entirely. And then for FanDuel, I got Brian Robinson Jr. at 6,000. He's at a good price. He's the main back, pretty much. I know Antonio Gibson did have he did have a
receiving touchdown in that game.
Yeah, receiving touchdown the last game, and he had like 10 or 11 carries, but he hasn't really been effective this year. Brian Robinson has been the better north-south runner, the more effective runner. I think he's going to get the bulk of the carries moving forward, and especially in this game against whoever they're playing. I forgot. The Colts, yeah.
Back to my rankings. Number 1, King Henry. He loves going up against the Houston Texans. He usually averages he averages over 200 yards rushing against them over the last 2 years. So yeah, I'm rolling with Derrick Henry. I think he's going to have a monster game. 2, Nick Chubb. Still think he's the engine that drives that offense. And the Cincinnati Bengals have been a little bit weaker against the running game. So look for Nick Chubb to have a good game there. 3, Josh Jacobs. As you mentioned, Josh Jacobs has been amazing the last 3 or 4 weeks. I couldn't have him anywhere down than 5 and 3. 4, Saquon Barkley. Seattle does give up some yards on the ground, but we'll see how Daniel Jones kind of eats into that production a little bit because he has been. 5, Dalvin Cook. 6, Alvin Kamara. 7, Kenneth Walker the third. 8, Joe Mixon. As long as the production is still the volume is still there, Joe Mixon still has value. I know his yards per carry is really low right now, but he still gets all the major touches and he gets all the goal line carries. So that's all really all that matters. 9, Jonathan Taylor. I know you said you're out on Jonathan Taylor, but I think because of Sam Ehlinger being the quarterback now, I almost feel like they're going to lean on Jonathan Taylor even more. I could see his usage rate even going higher than what it is before. I think there will be a point at some point this season where they'll get to the point where, we should shut down Jonathan Taylor because we're going to need him next season or whatever. Or I don't know if they're going to trade him. That seems a little bit. But Jonathan Taylor, I think at least for this week is going to have some value. And then Christian McCaffrey, as he gets more implemented into the offense, there's more sets for him. I think he'll have more value as the weeks go on. Looking for number 10 there. And then my outside looking in Miles Sanders, Ezekiel Elliott, who had a bunch of rushing touchdowns in the game last week. I'd look for him to continue to have that kind of production. And then Dameon Pierce going up against the Tennessee Titans. He's clearly the only good running back a suspect offensive weapon they have there in Houston, with Brandon Cooks kind of having a down season there. But Dameon Pierce has been pretty solid as a rookie. Look for him to continue to have 25 touches in those games on the ground. And then my sneaky and daily is Deontay Foreman with the Carolina Panthers at 5,300. And then Michael Carter Jr. It's unfortunate that Hall went down with the ACL tear, but Michael Carter should slip into that role and take up most of those carries. I know they traded for James Robinson, but they still like Michael Carter Jr. I think he's going to be involved at 5,900. So,
James Robinson. I mean, when he gets healthy enough, then he'll probably eat into some of those carries. But I think at this point, Michael Carter's, he knows the offense. He's more familiar with it. He's gonna be the man so far in that
At
offense.
least for this week.
For the next couple weeks, 3 weeks, at least month,
Yeah.
probably. Yeah.
Moving on from the running backs to the wide receivers, my number one wide receiver, Justin Jefferson. I did not think that anybody in Arizona can stop Justin Jefferson in that passing attack of the Minnesota Vikings. I look for that to be a very high-scoring game. Justin Jefferson should have a monster game. 2, Jamar Chase. He's been awesome the last couple weeks. Look for him to continue to roll. 3, Tyreek Hill. 4, Devontae Adams. 5, Cooper Kupp. It may be a little bit blasphemy for me to have Cooper Kupp this low, but the San Francisco 49ers seem to play the Rams tough. I look for that to be a continuing trend here against the Cooper Kupp. 6, Stephon Diggs. 7, A.J. Brown. 8, DeAndre Hopkins. As I mentioned, I think that's going to be a high-scoring game. 9, Mike Evans. I do not think he's going to drop a surefire touchdown in this game. 10, Deebo Samuel. And my outside looking in, I got CeeDee Lamb, Tyler Lockett, and Scary Terry McLaurin. And then my sneaky and daily is George Pickens at 4,700. And then Olamide Zaccheaus at 4,000 for the Atlanta Falcons at 4,000. I think that he's become the number one weapon there in Atlanta with defenses seem to be focusing on Kyle Pitts. So Zaccheaus does have some value there at 4,000. I think that's really cheap for a guy who's probably a number one wide receiver there for the Atlanta Falcons. I can't think of anybody else.
I was looking at the Atlanta Falcons wide receiver corps, and Drake London really hasn't played well since those first 3 weeks of the season or so. Yeah. So yeah, I gotta lean with you on that one. I think Olamide Zaccheaus does have some number one value, especially with Marcus Mariota at the helm. At number 1, Cooper Kupp. You're right, David. San Francisco does play them really hard, but his usage in that passing offense is just like out of this world. I mean, I forget the percentage, but I think it's he gets the highest number of balls across the NFL. I think he's the number one wide receiver that gets the most target shares out of like all wide receiver corps. So Cooper Kupp is my number one guy. It doesn't matter what defense plays against him. He's going to get his. At number 2, Justin Jefferson. Number 3, Stephon Diggs. I just think, he's going to see a lot of Jair Alexander, but I don't think that matters because I think the Packers defense is going to be on the field again a lot in this game. And I think the Buffalo Bills are, just going to break them, at some point. And then at number 4, I got Jamar Chase. Number 5, Tyreek Hill. He's happy to see Tua Tagovailoa back. Number 6, Devontae Adams. Number 7, DeAndre Hopkins. Back in the top 10 instantaneously. He was 10. How many targets? 11 targets, 10 receptions.
10 or so, 100 yards. Exactly. I think it was 100 yards exactly.
Yeah. I mean, he was a touchdown from being a top 5 guy last week. So yep. DeAndre Hopkins is definitely in the top 10. And number 8, Jalen Waddle. Both him and Tyreek Hill. They love to see Tua Tagovailoa back at the helm. He brings consistency to that position. And then number 9, CeeDee Lamb. And number 10. Mike Evans, I'm with you on that one. He doesn't drop a surefire touchdown, and he gets a nice target share. No one on Baltimore secondary scares me. And then on the outside looking in, I got A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then Deebo Samuel. And then my sneaky in FanDuel is Paris Campbell from the Indianapolis Colts. He had a great game last week. I expect this week to continue. I don't really see anything changing with Sam Ehlinger back there. So look for Paris Campbell to pick up where he left off. And at 5,600, that's a nice cheap option if you want to stack somewhere else.
Yeah, I almost had Paris Campbell as my sneaky and daily, but I decided to go even cheaper. So, but yeah. Moving on from the wide receivers to the other pass catchers, to the tight ends. Unfortunately, Travis Kelce is on a bye, and also is Gerald Everett. So those guys will not be on our rankings. Go ahead.
Yeah. Number 1 this week is George Kittle. Man, I feel like I disrespected Mark Andrews with this one. Because it's like, man, Travis Kelce's not playing this week. I should have Mark Andrews. He's always number 2. But George Kittle, man, he's just had a better game each week since he's gotten back into that offense. I expect nothing else, nothing different here against the LA Rams. And then number 2, Mark Andrews. Number 3, Dallas Goedert. At number 4, I got Zach Ertz. At number 5, I got TJ Hawkinson going up against Miami. And then number 6, Pat Freiermuth. I know he's going against a tough defense in Philly, but Kenny Pickett seems to be looking for Pat Freiermuth a lot. And that's usually a rookie safety blanket, right? A tight end. So, he's looking for Pat Freiermuth, especially in those underneath routes in the middle of the field. Pat Freiermuth is getting his. And number 7, Tyler Higbee. he's the second best pass catcher on the Rams, in my opinion, this year, due to productivity. I mean, with productivity, I mean, Allen Robinson hasn't, really shown
Been
up
good.
this year, so
Been
he's
good.
been inconsistent. So Tyler Higbee's there. It's number 7, and number 8, Robert Tonyan. Just because there's like literally nobody else. I mean, that Rodgers is pretty much looking to. He's the last couple weeks. He's been looking at Robert Tonyan a lot. And I expect that same productivity and usage to be in this game against the Bills. And number 9, Taysom Hill. Why not? I mean, he really doesn't really line up at tight end. He's just considered a fantasy tight end, but he just seems to get touchdowns every week. He's getting a touchdown. Some type of package is getting a touchdown. If you slide Taysom Hill in your rankings, you're winning. And number 10, Hayden Hurst for the Cincinnati Bengals. He's actually been a really surprising story this year. He's been super consistent. I mean, outside of Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, I mean, he's been the third, best option. On some weeks, he's been their second best option as a pass catcher in that offense. So, Hayden Hurst, definitely a top 10 guy this week again. And then I'm outside looking in. I got Irv Smith Jr., Dawson Knox, and Mike Gesicki. I like Irv Smith Jr. This week against Arizona. Like you said, it's going to be a high-scoring affair. Dawson Knox going against a secondary, going against the Packers. They got a good linebacking core, but I mean, like I said, they can be on the field a lot. They might break a little bit. He might get a red zone touchdown. And then Mike Gesicki. I like Mike Gesicki going against Detroit. They're not a good defense. Look for Mike Gesicki in the red zone to have a touchdown or so this week. And then in FanDuel, I got Greg Dulcich from the Denver Broncos at 4,900. He's going against the Jacksonville team. I'm not sure if Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson might be out this game, but he's going against the Jacksonville team. They're playing in Jacksonville, but I like Greg Dulcich.
They're playing in London, actually.
Is he coming back?
They're playing in London.
Are they playing in London?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter. I like him to, he's been, his use has been increasing the last couple weeks. So I like him in the red zone at 4,900. Why not?
Yep. I don't hate it. Moving on from your tight ends to mine. I was not disrespectful. I had Mark Andrews at number 1. He's the number 1 passing option when it comes to the Baltimore Ravens. So, give me Mark Andrews. 2, George Kittle. I'm in the same way. I love what I've seen out of George Kittle. He's gotten progressively better every single week. He's rounding more into form, into that kind of guy that we thought we were going to see when the season started. And in my number 3 is Taysom Hill. I agree with you, man. I think they're just using him in a bunch of different packages, using a bunch of different varieties. He's going to get a rushing touchdown. He might get a passing touchdown. He might throw for a touchdown. Who knows? Taysom Hill he's got guaranteed touches out of the tight end position. You can't really say that about any other tight end on the list outside of George Kittle or Mark Andrews. I'm a big Taysom Hill guy for this particular week. And for the rest of the season, really. I mean, if you were somebody who drafted, Rob Tonyan, who hasn't really worked out, and you have Taysom Hill, I would just roll with him. I would just roll with him for the rest of the year.
I'll say this about Taysom Hill: the touches that he gets, they're going for the gusto. They're going for the touchdown, right?
Yeah.
So that's why he's getting touchdowns.
Yep.
Pretty much.
That's his use. They're using him as the goal line back. I mean, he's stealing touchdowns from Alvin Kamara. I mean,
gadget plays. Those gadget plays are made to get big chunks. Those gadget plays are made to get touchdowns or towards the red zone. They're made to get touchdowns. So Taysom Hill is the guy that you should have.
Yeah. 4, Dallas Goedert. 5, Hayden Hurst. Man, I agree with you, man. Hayden Hurst has been one of those nice stories you see. A guy who was a first-round pick, was kind of a toss-off from that Ravens team, ends up in Atlanta, has a decent season actually for the Falcons, and a low-key, under the radar, good season. It comes to Cincinnati. It's been everything you could have thought they wanted to out of a tight end for the Cincinnati Bengals. 6, Zach Ertz, all reliable. 7, Tyler Higbee. Yeah, he's been the second-best weapon on that Rams passing attack. 8, Kyle Pitts. I'm not totally out on Kyle Pitts just yet. But as I mentioned during the Zacchaeus, the defense has decided hey, nobody else in this team is any good. Kyle Pitts is their lone really good pass catching option. We're just going to double him every single play. But I do think he has some value here going against the Carolina Panthers. I think he could get a touchdown. 9, Irv Smith Jr. Expected to be a high-scoring game between the Minnesota Vikings and the Arizona Cardinals. And 10, T.J. Hockenson. I know he's had a couple down weeks here in a row, but the Detroit Lions as an offense have had down weeks here in a row. Miami Dolphins can be scored against. Look for T.J. Hockenson to maybe bounce back in this game and get back into the top 10. We're not that far removed from him being the number 1 scoring player in fantasy a couple weeks ago. So look for him to bounce back. And then my outside looking in, I got Dawson Knox, Pat Freiermuth, and Mike Gesicki. And then my sneaky and daily, Juwan Johnson at 3,200, and Tommy Tremble, who plays for the Carolina Panthers at 2,600, got his first career NFL touchdown last week. And look for him to continue as long as PJ Walker is going to be the starting quarterback. I think there's a rapport there between him and Tommy Tremble.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah.
Tommy Tremble.
Yeah, Tommy Tremble. There's a name
for
that
went out the hat, baby.
Moving on from the tight ends to my defensive rankings. I mean, you are the same way when it comes to top two. Number one, Philadelphia Eagles. They just added Robert Quinn, basically stolen from the Chicago Bears for a 4th-round pick this afternoon. I expect him to suit up and play. Philadelphia, the rich just continue to get richer when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles. This is already an elite defense that just got better. 2, Dallas Cowboys. They're not opportunistic defense, put pressure on the quarterback. Look for them to have a good game there. 3, the Washington Commanders going up against the rookie quarterback. Chase Young should be coming back. Jonathan Allen should play in this game. They should be able to get some pressure under Sam Ehlinger. 4, Denver Broncos. 5 is Cincinnati Bengals going up against Jacoby Brissett and the Cleveland Browns. Then my outside looking in are the Titans, Bills, and Giants. My sneaky and daily is the New York Jets at 2,900 going up against the New England Patriots, who I'm not sure who the starting quarterback will be for the Patriots. The Jets, 2,900.
Hey, it's Zappy hour somewhere.
Yeah, Zappy hour's over.
Well, no, I think the Jets would be happy if Zappy hour was happening in this game.
Yeah, maybe
3 picks against the Bears. I can tell you, I expect him to struggle mightily again against the Jets. At number 1, Philadelphia, man. The rich get richer, like David said. They are an elite defense. They add Robert Quinn. They just get even better at the pass rusher on the edge. So Philadelphia number 1. They have a really good matchup too against Pittsburgh. I expect them to throw Kenny Pickett in a few turnovers, a few picks. Number 2, Dallas. Dallas going against Chicago. Even though, I like what I saw out of Justin Fields, I think they're going to open up the playbook a little bit more for him, like running the football. But I still think Dallas is been playing really good, especially with Michael Parsons leading the way. Him and D-Law, that's a special tandem right there. I like Dallas this week. And then at number 3, Buffalo Bills. I expect – this is what I expect. I expect the Packers more of the same. Not sustaining drives, not being able to keep their defense, off the field for some time when you're not sustaining drives, and then, forcing Aaron Rodgers into, a couple bad mistakes when he's just staring down some guys and holding on to the football too long. I like the Buffalo Bills this week. And then number 4, New York Jets, Jets, Jets. I like them this week, man. Going up against New England. If it's Bailey Zappi, if it's Mac Jones, it doesn't matter. I think they're gonna, give New England a rough time this week. Give me the Jets as the top 5 defense this week. And then at number 5, the Tennessee Titans going up against Houston. I just expect Derrick Henry to just break the will of Houston so much to the point where it's just gonna be a landslide, where the defense is just gonna be picking off my boy down there, Davis Mills. So, Tennessee Titans, top 5 defense in my book. And then outside looking in, I got Miami, San Francisco, and Denver, who's been not quietly. They've been consistently pretty good on defense. And then for my sneaky play or cheap play in FanDuel, give me the Atlanta Falcons at 3,800 going against the Carolina Panthers, who, I know they beat the Tampa Bay Bucks last week, but they're a complete unknown. PJ Walker's a complete unknown from week to week. We don't know what we're going to get from them. They're not consistent. And they're playing at home. So Atlanta's been pretty competitive and pretty good at home. I expect Atlanta to win this game. I expect them to really force some turnovers in this game. I expect a defensive touchdown in this game for the Atlanta Falcons. 3,800 is not bad. I think they'll put up at least 10. They'll put 10 plus points up on the board this week.
I agree with you. I like the Falcons this week, especially if AJ Terrell comes back from that. I think it was a concussion or a hamstring injury. We do have a question before we get up out of here. We got 2 things we got to do. We got to pick a number 1 scorer for this week, and we got a question here in the comment section from YouTube. So thank you, Mo Diesel, for submitting your question. Would you trade James Robinson for Zeke in a half PPR league?
Yes, in a heartbeat.
I would do that in a heartbeat too.
In a heartbeat, yeah.
I would rather have Ezekiel Elliott. I think he's got a clear role there in Dallas. I don't know exactly what James Robinson exactly what his role is going to be, how healthy he is right now.
Yeah.
There in the New York Jets, and I still think that's Michael Carter's job to lose.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? With Zeke and Tony Pollard, it's not like they're splitting the carries like down the middle. Zeke is still getting his carries. I think Tony Pollard, when you see him having a good game, he's just a tad more explosive. And the only reason he's a tad more explosive is because you guys got to remember, Zeke's first 3-4 years, he was just running to the ground. So his body's breaking down. He's just a little slower than what he was that you expect. But Zeke still has a lot of value, especially in the red zone. I mean, look at 2 weeks ago when they were going against the Giants.
This past week, I mean, scored 2 touchdowns in that
game.
2
touchdowns, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So this past week, scored 2 touchdowns. So yeah, James Robinson, yeah, do that in a heartbeat. If somebody's offering you that, do it in a heartbeat.
I would make that trade in a heartbeat too as well. Yeah. So before we get up out of here, number one scorer. Who do you think the number one scorer in fantasy this week is going to be? Last week, for 2 weeks in a row, Joe Burrow, number one scorer in fantasy last week with 35.8 points. I actually played a league where Joe Burrow put up 50 points last week.
Wow.
He basically carried me to a victory. Like I'm not sure how the scoring works exactly in this league, but he put up 56 points in this league. 56.
Man.
The week before that, he put up 46 and a half, dude.
Yeah. Godly. If I had to pick a number one threat this week, a number one guy that's gonna go crazy, he wasn't my number one. He wasn't my number one running back this week. But you know what? If I had to go back and change my rankings, I'd put him at the number one slot. I think Derrick Henry's going to be the number one guy this week. He's going to have at least 203 touchdowns against Houston, in my opinion.
Yeah, if you hadn't taken him, I would have taken Derrick Henry as my number one scorer in fantasy. I do think Derrick Henry will be the number one scorer in fantasy. But if I'm going to go another direction, I'll go Justin Jefferson for the Minnesota Vikings. I look for him to have 180 yards receiving, 10 catches, 2 touchdowns in that game. That'll give him some crazy value.
That's crazy that you picked Justin Jefferson because I was going to pick Justin Jefferson too. That's funny that you said it. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go Derrick Henry to just give me the first crack at it. But I didn't want to, I should have went with Justin Jefferson, but neither of those guys I had at my number one. So
yeah, what are you doing?
Why are you not being our number one? But he's your number one in fantasy. Oh my god.
But yeah, this is our fantasy football weekly show. This has been our rankings for week number 8. Hopefully, you guys could get some W's in week number 8. Continue sending those questions into YouTube and Facebook. I will check them and I will answer the questions as they come in. Look for tomorrow. We're going to do the crossover tomorrow. Me and TJ Hopkins. We're going to be breaking down what we've seen over the last 10 days in the NBA. It's been a week since the NBA started, 8 days actually. So we're going to be breaking down some of the storylines going in the National Basketball Association. You aren't going to want to miss that show. And also College Football Showdown returns on Friday.
Don't want to miss it, guys. And we'll probably be bringing back College Basketball Madness. You guys wait for that. College basketball season is right around the corner. I believe it's about I think the first week of games is November 8th. So it's about a week away. So, watch out for that. Not this week, but probably next week. We'll be bringing some college football, some college basketball madness coming your way.
But yeah, thank you very much for checking out the show. Please like, share, and subscribe. I've been David Huppin right there as the CEO of Prime Sports World, Mr. Israel Rivera. And Izzy, what we do here at the Prime, my friend?
We bring the heat, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. We do bring the heat, and we will see you guys tomorrow for the crossover. Have a good night, everybody. Peace out, brother.